In the description below, I have the different topics and timestamps that I'll be discussing in this video, so if a certain topic intrigues you more and you want to know what my take on it is, then you can just skip to that timestamp. With that being said, let's get to the first topic. I completely agree that George Floyd's death was unjustifiable, uncalled for, heinous, horrendous, and disgusting. I'm glad that Derek Chauvin's in jail. I don't think that third-degree manslaughter is enough. It should be first degree because a lot of people were warning him that he was unconscious and that he was begging for his life, that he couldn't breathe. So I think it was completely intentional, but that's just my take on it. So I think him and the other police officers who were complicit throughout the entire situation, the three other police officers that were there on the scene, should be sentenced to prison. I'm also glad to say that a lot of conservatives and Democrats that I follow on Instagram and just social media are on the same page of the situation. A lot of them can agree that George Floyd's death was unjustifiable and uncalled for. So it's interesting to see Democrats, liberals, and Republicans unifying together on the situation and how the police system needs to be reformed. So that's also very refreshing to see. And also some very peaceful protests and a lot of people expressing their emotion and opinions through social media and having conversations. However, the only thing I'm not proud to say that I'm glad to witness are the riots. Now, I can't say I'm shocked or surprised that these are happening. Whenever a black man was murdered by a police officer or killed by a police officer, or whether it was intentional or non-intentional, there were always riots that would occur. And I think it just takes a couple steps back from the protests, so I don't agree with the riots whatsoever. I've seen a lot of either celebrities or high profile influencers trying to defend it, and I'm not sure why whatsoever because there are a lot of cases in which these rioters have nothing to do with the protest or the movement whatsoever. They're robbing clothing stores and even attacking small businesses that have nothing to do with the situation. A majority of these rioters, as I said, are people who are not protesting for the movement. Now, there are some minority who are protesting while looting at the same time. I've had some discourse through some pages and pictures discussing with people about these riots, and some have said that protesting and looting are two completely different things and can't be together. I think you can still protest while looting because I've seen some of these videos in which protesters have destroyed buildings with no good reasoning. Some are protesting to seek justice for George Floyd while throwing bricks at random strangers' windows. It's insane.
Why are you? We're on your side! We're on your side! Holy shit!
Now, the first argument the law of high-profile celebrities or influencers have that are defending these riots are some like these. Riots and looting are a legitimate and profound form of protest against a system that values goods and services over human life. As well as this post saying that never let them convince you that broken glass or property is violence. Hunger is violence, homelessness is violence, war is violence, and etc. etc. There's also other posts saying that property is replaceable, buildings are replaceable, and that the human life is not. While technically you are true, but you can't also replace the time and money spent on these small business owners who have to repair their small businesses. What a lot of high-profile celebrities, influencers, or people who are not influencers or celebrities, and any activist or civilian who agrees with this statement is missing is that a lot of small business owners are being affected by these riots. While I do agree that Target and AutoZone, for example, that were looted and attacked, I do agree that they can replace and rebuild their buildings because they have the money and funds for it. Whereas small businesses, or actually before I get to small businesses, what's going to happen to the workers of those stores? They can't work anymore. How are they going to make money? And these people have to make money for their families. They could get relocated to a different store, but maybe it's further away from their houses. Maybe they have to spend extra gas or have to wake up earlier, like hours earlier, in order to get to a store that's closest, or actually in this case, farthest away from them. How are they benefiting from this whatsoever? Now back to small businesses. One small business, such as Town Talks and Gastropub, co-owned by both Charles Stotts and his wife Katie, were surprised to find out that on Wednesday night, a couple days after George Floyd's death, their alarms went off, from the break-in alarm as well as the fire alarm. On Thursday morning, when they went to go check on the restaurant, everything was destroyed, from broken glass, broken furniture, and the store even flooding, due to the fire extinguishers being activated. Charles Stotts was then interviewed by Sharon Jackson, who works with the Star Tribune. In one portion of the article, she asks him a question: "Is there anything you would like to say to the people who damaged the restaurant?" He responds with, "I, as much as anybody, understand the need for the protest that was happening. And I, as much as anybody, understand the degree of anger and the degree of frustration and everything that was happening, because I was angry, and I was frustrated with it too. I just don't understand how that spills over into buildings. How does the rage turn to our small little community businesses? I won't ever understand. but I certainly understand the rest of it. I understand that terrible feeling, because we're all sickened by it. I don't want to say anything to them. I just hope they heal as well as any of us can heal. The real shocker here is that Charles Stotts had actually joined a peaceful protest in support for seeking justice for George Floyd. A man who joined protests to seek justice for George Floyd had his own business attacked by rioters who were mad about the entire George Floyd situation. A man who supports and understands the cause was attacked by his own people that were supporting with him. It's insane and ludicrous. This poor man who just running a business with his wife has it destroyed because people are angry. It's disgusting and despicable. Now, luckily, he does have insurance to cover for the entire restaurant. Now, one could argue with my point and say, aha, you see, all stores are insured, from big businesses to small businesses. Well, let's look at a flip side and look at a case in which one man sadly wasn't insured. Carboy Bala, a black former firefighter who had invested his life savings into a bar he wanted to build and was planning to open it before the coronavirus pandemic had caused mass business closures. Bala then moved the opening date to June 1st, when Minnesota had planned to lift restrictions on restaurants, but the bar has since been racked and looted in the riots. He had then responded by saying, yes, people are mad and upset. I get that, and I understand the protest. I'm hearing people say, fuck the business. They have insurance. Well, we don't, and this is all out of pocket. Now, luckily, someone had created a GoFundMe for him and his family, since he does have a wife and 4 children that he needs to support and feed. And luckily, it's at over $800,000 out of their $100,000 plan or goal, so that's fantastic news to hear. But the main takeaway from this is, what if no one had made a GoFundMe? What was this man going to do? Now, due to Corona, since it's still going on, he couldn't open his restaurant, or bar anytime sooner. And now that the restrictions were about to be lifted, his bar was destroyed. Again, I'm glad he has a GoFundMe, but imagine if no one did this. What was he going to do? All of his life savings are gone. So it's not just white business owners that are being attacked, or big businesses actually. A lot of small businesses owned by people of color are also being attacked. A lot of these small businesses understand the anger and hate that these protesters have, or mostly rioters who are causing destruction. They understand it. A good majority of them have joined peaceful protests. And what do they get in return for supporting this movement and protest? They get their businesses and stores destroyed. Now, there is one case that I've seen or read, or people argue that a man was chanting to have his restaurant destroyed and burned. That one man doesn't speak for the rest of businesses. Some of these businesses don't have insurance. Some of these owners depend on their businesses for their livelihood because this is their way of income and making money. If you destroy their building, what are they going to do? They can't make money anytime soon unless they have a GoFundMe, and hopefully the GoFundMe does very well, but how are they going to support their family until the building gets back and restored and up and running? It's so selfish and closed-minded, so I don't understand why these high influencers and celebrities are defending these riots, as well as, again, citizens and activists. Why are they defending these riots and saying that it's justifiable? No one gets anything good out of this. I don't understand how this helps in the long run. Momentary destruction isn't going to cause long-term change. It's just going to affect the people who own these businesses and have no way of making money. For them, it's going to be long-term change if they don't have insurance or GoFundMe that covers all the expenses of their business being destroyed, but not for rectifying or reforming the police system or the government. The only way you can really change the government or the police system is by getting political officials in offices or in your government. You have to vote in the polls. That's how you cause long-term change, not by momentary destruction.
These are people who live in public housing, and you just made a melee. You took down bus routes. There are people who live in this neighborhood who have to go back uptown to work.
A lot of people have been saying that whenever there's a protest or riot that is predominantly colored people, whether it's black people, Mexicans, Asians, whenever there's a protest with them, the National Guard or police force are always involved or included to keep the peace. Whereas whenever there are protests or riots that include predominantly Caucasian or white people, the National Guard or police force aren't really ever intervening, and they're mostly given a slap on the wrist. And for this, I've seen mainly 2 posts that have been circulating online. The first one is of comparing these current riots to football fan riots whenever a football fan's team wins the World Cup. Now, this double standard I completely agree with, and I'll get more in depth with it in the next topic. I think that football fan riots need to be held on a higher level and really need to involve the police force or National Guard, because there's no justifiable reason as to why football fans can destroy their buildings and cities. Just because they're drunk out of their mind and excited and ecstatic that their football team won is not a good enough reason whatsoever to destroy your own city. At least with the current movement that's going on, there is a justifiable reason as to why people are angry. As I said, I'll discuss more of this in the next topic. Now, this next post is the most popular of the two. People are comparing the current riots to the Michigan riots that happened on April 16th of 2020, in which white protesters were proclaiming and saying that the town needs to reopen businesses from restaurants, hair salons, nail salons. Every business should be open, and that COVID-19 cannot postpone these businesses from opening any longer. And one could argue and say, well, why aren't these protesters being shot with rubber bullets or have tear gas thrown at them when they look just as aggressive, if not more, than the current protesters? Furthermore, they also have guns and they're armed with guns, so why aren't they being attacked by these police officers? They look just as aggressive and look like they're yelling at about to start a fight, so why aren't they being attacked? Well, in this situation specifically, the setting is not the same. It's in a small contained building. So if police officers were to use tear gas or rubber bullets, it's very small. The tear gas will affect everyone in the building, including the workers. So I don't think it'd be the safest. And again, the tear gas is contained in this one small spot. And if the police were to start something, it could be extremely chaotic and aggressive in this small contained space, and everybody would be fighting each other. There's no room to wiggle out of the situation or run away or escape in a calm manner. It's just all packed in this tight little room. That's just my viewpoint and how I look at it. Either way, no one got hurt or was attacked in this protest from either police officers or protesters. Whereas on the right side of the screen on May 26, 2020, the current protest that's going on, you see a police force using tear gas in order to subdue peaceful protesters. On the bottom of each of these pictures, there's a response from Donald Trump. On the left side, in response to the Michigan protests, we have Donald Trump saying, "The governor of Michigan should give a little and put out the fire. These are very good people, but they are angry. They want their lives back again, safely. See them, talk to them, make a deal." On the right side, in response to the current protest, Donald Trump says, "These thugs are dishonoring the memory of George Floyd, and I won't let that happen. Just spoke to Governor Tim Walz and told him that the military is with him all the way. Any difficulty and we will assume control. But when the looting starts, the shooting starts. Thank you." Now, this is a very misleading post. I hate this comparison with a passion. I think it is the worst comparison, the most misleading. If you do a little bit of research, not even too much, on the left side on the Michigan protests, while I do agree that the protest reasoning isn't the best, granted, if these are business owners who are mostly protesting, then I see their reasoning behind it, because if that's their business and livelihood and they want it to reopen, then I understand that. However, I don't agree that they're not wearing masks for the majority of the part. I mean, COVID-19 is a real thing, so why are you not wearing masks to prevent the spread? I mean, good job that they're wearing gloves, but come on, guys, wear masks. I agree that their reasoning is not as important as the current movement. However, as I said, if you do a little bit of research, there's a huge difference between the two. In Michigan, it is completely legal to openly carry a firearm. And from what I've seen, from news outlets to videos, all of these protesters are openly carrying their firearms. None of it is hidden, it's openly carried. Second, the most important factor actually, none of these protesters in Michigan ever used those guns. They never used violence, they never destroyed buildings, they never lit anything on fire, they never attacked people or held those weapons in front of people's faces. And to give the benefit of the doubt, were they maybe harassing or making people feel uncomfortable by asking them a lot of questions? Maybe. I've seen that video of like one guy trying to get a high five from a black couple. Maybe in his mind and eye, he was trying to be wholesome and fun, but he, I guess, forgot that COVID-19 is still a real thing, and he wasn't wearing any gloves or a face mask. And the guy's also carrying a large Looney Tunes-esque wrench. So I can understand how uncomfortable the couple might feel, especially since there's other protesters that have weapons or guns that they're holding, and they have a baby, so it doesn't seem like the safest for them. Also, since everyone else at the protest doesn't have a mask or gloves, as I said, so I can understand how uncomfortable it might feel, but no one got hurt, no violence or looting or rioting occurred during this protest. As idiotic as their plan might be, they did everything peacefully and legally. Now on the right side, while I do agree that there are some bad police officers that are attacking peaceful protests with no reason, there are rioters. In response to George Floyd's death, a lot of people have been destroying buildings, but they don't put that in the right image. Instead, they use an image of police forces using tear gas against peaceful protesters. They don't ever show the nasty, ugly side of rioting. So it's a very misleading image. I hate this. As I said, in Michigan, as dumb as the reasoning might be, unless they're business owners, they did everything in a legal and calm manner. Whereas in the current riots, there is a huge amount of rioters that are destroying buildings of small business owners, as well as taking the lives of some citizens that are caught in the crossfire of this. Now, are police officers also taking the lives of citizens as well, or unjustly attacking them? Yes, but I'll get into that into a moment. But as for this post, it's very misleading and I hate it. I've seen a lot of my old middle school friends, or some friends that I know, or some people I do know, or some celebrities reposting this image. It's very misleading. In Michigan, again, I'm gonna say this one last time, as dumb as the reasoning is, did everything legally and as calm as possible. The current riots, there's a lot of riots going on, a lot of peaceful protests. I will agree with you on that. There are a lot of good peaceful protests, but there are also riots.
You stay out of our neighborhoods and you take this to the corporations, you take it to Wall Street, but you don't come on this block.
On to the penultimate topic of this video, ACAB. I hate this abbreviation, I hate this acronym, I hate it, I hate it, I hate it, I hate it, I fucking hate it. Now, if you don't know what ACAB means, it's an abbreviation of All Cops Are Bastards. I do not agree with it whatsoever. Do I agree with some aspect of it? Kind of, I kind of do, but not entirely. If I were to change it, I'd call it SCAB, Some Cops Are Bastards, because I think that's a more honest look at it. People who are defending this abbreviation are saying that all cops are bastards, even the good ones. And the reason they say that is because if you are a good cop, you are automatically bad because you chose a profession in which it is a systemically oppressive system and police force. What a way to really devalue and diminish the good, hardworking police officers who are actually trying to show their support towards this movement and to show that not all police officers are terrible and that they are with this movement and reforming and taking out bad police officers from this system. In California, there was a union of police officers who didn't support or condone the actions that Derek Chauvin did and the way he handled the entire situation. People are ignoring that and don't care for it apparently because it's police propaganda. It's showing that, oh, you're showing the police in a positive light and that's bad. All police officers are terrible, even the good ones. What? That's terrible. That's terrible nonsense. And that's not fighting for unity or equality or peace. You're diminishing the hard work that good police officers are doing. Now, there's a whole, not conspiracy, but a lot of people have been saying that there are photo ops of police officers who kneel in front of protesters, and then 5 seconds after kneeling and everyone's taking their phone away or taking it down or stopped recording and taking photos, the police officers automatically start shooting rubber bullets and tear gas. I don't know if that's completely true or not. I don't have enough resources or links to that. I've seen a lot of people argue them, but a lot of people haven't really been giving me any links. I'll probably make a separate video just showing my discourse with people online, but to make this short, I need more information and context on it. I'm not going to completely say that it's not true. I just need more context and factual proof. Rob McElhenney, who is an actor and co-creator of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, posted a video on Instagram showing a sheriff in Flint, Michigan, saying how proud he was to have a peaceful protest in which no police officers or peaceful protesters were harmed or caused any violence or had any violent tendencies. It was a peaceful protest overall. A lot of people in comments in response to Rob McElhenney's post stated and said how disappointed they were in him for showing police propaganda, or as they like to call it, copaganda. What the hell is wrong with people? We can't have some tender moments and show both the bad and good side of police officers and Black Lives Matter movement. Not everything is picture perfect. There are some good police officers that genuinely want to make a better change and fight for equality. And a lot of people gave Rob McElhenney shit because he's showing this propaganda and how he shouldn't be putting police officers in a positive light whatsoever. And the interesting thing about this entire comment section is some people have accused him, as I said, for promoting police propaganda, while also saying that once everyone put their phones down, these same police officers began to shoot them with rubber bullets and tear gas. And when someone debated that argument and said, I was actually in that protest, it was very peaceful, nothing happened, the people who started the argument didn't respond or show any form of links or articles or video proof that that's what the police officers did. Almost all of them, I think actually all of them, went silent. They didn't show any proof, they didn't defend their argument, they didn't show any videos, they showed nothing. Once people said I was actually there, it was pretty calm. They were quiet. I'm not saying there aren't any bad police officers like the ones who were randomly tear gassing people who were peacefully protesting and did nothing. It's fucking insane. I'm not agreeing that all police officers are good. Why can we not appreciate and value and show support for the good officers who are doing their best? And let me genuinely ask this question to those of you who oppose portraying police officers in a positive light. What should these police officers then do to solve the situation? How should they handle the situation? If they show support, or there's videos and pictures of them kneeling with protesters or hugging them, then it's automatically considered police propaganda and a photo op. And if they show any kinds of support or any amount of support towards the Black Lives Matter movement or seeking justice for George Floyd, then they're automatically grouped with the bad police officers and said that, oh, well, they might be good, but they're still terrible because they work for this oppressive system, the police force. So what should they do then? Because if they show support towards the Black Lives Matter movement, they are ignored, scrutinized, and grouped with the bad officers. And if they quit and resign their job, then they're just leaving all of the control within the bad police officers. All of the control is now in their hand. So I'll ask this one more time. What should good-intentioned police officers who are showing support or in support of the Black Lives Matter movement and to reform the entire police system, what should they do? Because if they resign, they give all the powers to the bad police officers. If they show support towards the movement, they're ignored and labeled with the bad officers. What should they do? Leave me even a hypothesis, a theory, an example, or an actual concrete answer in the comments below. I'm open to anything, whether it's a hypothesis, a theory, an example, whatever. Just give me something. Now, I'm kind of running low on time and battery life, and I'm already like that 30-minute mark. So I'll be saving the media portion of this video for a later video and making it almost like a part 2. I don't want to drag this on really because I want to mostly focus on film and television reviews or film and television kind of analysis and discussions. I'm just really passionate about this whole situation because I completely agree and support the peaceful protests and seeking justice for George Floyd. It's just the riots that I don't agree with and the people supporting and protecting and defending the riots and people who are attacking police officers for not really doing anything bad and who are trying to do their best to fix the system. There are, again, as I said, bad officers who have maced people. It's honestly terrible. There are some bad officers, but there are also some good officers who are good-hearted. That's really all I have to say. Protests are good, riots are terrible, some good cops, some bad cops. I'll probably make a part 2, like I said, to mostly discuss the media part and also look at the discourses I've had with people online. Now, whether you disagree or agree with me, please let me know why in the comments below. Try to change my mind, try to prove me wrong. I want to be as informed as possible. Just let me know in the comments why you agree or disagree with me. Try to change my mind, I'm open to discussion. Yeah, have a great day. See you later.
I don't care how you decide to organize and protest, but you don't riot. You don't burn my neighborhood. Do something, make sure you're registered to vote. So fire, and you better pass it on to all